Hey, yo, check it out, man. You tune into my brother, Mike Mother D. One-on-one with Mike D, man. Y'all subscribe to his channel. The man be serving game, giving y'all game that y'all don't know. Get on the streets y'all don't know from like 20 years history back. If you want in the streets with us, don't go around with it. Mike D, man, you doing your thizzle, boy. Hey, boy, let's get it. Get your money. Get your shit up. Yeah. Mike Dizzle. Southside player. Bye, boy.
Yourself, man, you've always been ahead of the curve, bro.
I try to be.
You've always been the one, like, I'm the first white guy in the screwed up clique. You feel me? I'm the first, of our generation white guy to go and get a major deal. You feel me?
I feel you.
When only Eminem was popping.
And now, like, everybody's doing country rap music. Little Jello Rolls getting awards for it. Everybody calling me up, and it's one of those things that back then when you're in it, you don't realize the longevity of it. And if you're a constant innovator, it's just something that is in your blood. Like Hawk said, Toe Down is a trendsetter. We don't follow trends; we set the trend.
Set the trends.
And that's what's always been, in the forefront of my mind is, don't be a follower, be a leader, and then let people follow you. And so that's what we do.
That's been one of your strengths this whole time that guys like me been the pull for. For y'all that don't know, man, DJ Screw himself inducted Toe Down into the Screwed Up Clique. He is an official Screwed Up Clique member by DJ Screw himself. You understand what I'm telling y'all? I'm not telling y'all about somebody that Hawk put on after, not saying that that's super official if you got put on by Hawk, but I'm talking about from the OG himself, DJ Screw, man. You know what I mean? How does that make you feel, brother?
Screw and I had a special bond. Speaking of Hawk, Hawk is he was the one that introduced me to Screw, and once I went to Screw's house, it's almost like once you go to Screw's house, you don't leave for a very long time. There's no couches, there's no seats, so you can't get comfortable unless you're gonna sit on some, on some records. But
Crates.
Crates. But
Records.
R.I.P. Hawk, man. I love that dude. He was always 1,000 with me. But he introduced me to Screw, and my brother and I show up at Screw's house. We knock on the door, and from beyond the door, we get, who is it? I was like, it's Toe Down. And when he came to the door, as he opens the door, he's putting down his AK. And I'm like, is this not a way to be greeted by the great DJ Screw, right? It's like two white guys show up. The first thing you think about is the police, right? So Screw was a fool, man. It was a fool. But, I'll never forget that very first night I met Screw. 3-2 was there, and DJ Screw was there. And it was almost like it was surreal. It was like I was almost in a movie. Screw was there with his turntables. 3-2 was, providing the party supplies, and it was a memory that lives in my mind like it's a movie. When you meet somebody you idolize for so long, and then you're able to build a friendship from that, it was just amazing. Screw could call me at 3:00 in the morning. I go show up for him. Hey, Toe Down, I need you here, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Without hesitation, I was on the road. It wasn't even a question, And to lose Screw at such an early part in his career, I could only imagine the things that he would have been able to do. And my brother always told me, he was like, man, if I'd have met Screw in high school, we would have been billionaires,
For real.
Screw was just on that trend-setting time. It was, the way he was able to, supply the streets with music that still lives today. And now you got these youngsters that are, banging Screw, and they'll be like, man, I got this tape, and I got this tape, and I was like, you got a CD. That's what you got. We have the tapes.
Yeah, the tapes.
We have the tapes. I still got a couple gray ones in my, vault right now. But
On top.
it's one of the things that when you're in the moment, you never know that might be the last time you're hanging out with somebody. And before he passed, I was with him probably 24 hours before, and he was laying down some vocals for us. And Screw never worked off of CDs. He wanted records to chop and screw the first album, and I remember getting him the acetate test presses on wax so he could screw down the album. And then I got the phone call that he wasn't with us no more, man, and it was just like, we were gonna be the Eminem and Dre of the South. Bernard had the tour already lined up. We were gonna hit the road. The country rap tune was officially certified by Screw. It was something new, and we were ready to run and gun. And then tragedy happens.
Talk about, before we go there with Screw, talk about receiving that induction from him. Just walk us through how that happened. And
It's crazy. When he came to lay down the vocals on the country rap tune, he did multiple passes. And every time he did a pass, it got better and better, the stuff that he would say, And the reason that we recorded Screw first is because we wanted his audio on the wax so he could then do his thing to it. And so we recorded all his vocals first.
when you say vocals, explain to him what you mean by that.
So what we did is, for the country rap tune, the idea was originally to put Pimp C and Bun B on there. That was the original idea, the country rap tune featuring Pimp C and Bun B. But Bun B and Pimp C just got off of Big Pimpin'. And I mean, Pimp C, he was being generous when he was like, yo, Toe, I need 25 to be on it. And I was like, I would have given my left foot to pull up 25K to give him and Bun 25K just to be on the song. It had been a pleasure, But at the time, my budget didn't allow for that, And so the next best option, the most country boy that I knew, was Hawk. And so, Hawk and Big Pokey. And
Hold
and
on.
so what ended up happening was the song became...
Hold up. I gotta interrupt you. I was at the studio with Hawk laid that thing that day, man. I was trying to get on that too, man. I don't know what happened, but hey, man. Hey, because it's another country boy, Mike D, Pokey, and Hawk. Oh, my God. But anyway, my bad.
And so, as you know, what happened in the studio was magical. And so we needed that perfect bookend. And that perfect bookend to us was to take a country song that was from Houston and have it screwed by DJ Screw. And that was going to be the perfect bookend of the album. The country rap tune was going to lead off as the first single, and then the surprise track at the end was going to be DJ Screw screwing down the country rap tune and really putting that Houston stamp on things.
And talking through the tape we're talking through it as he's scratching like
Correct.
he did on this. That's what I meant by vocals.
Right.
Like he did.
Like it would have been a great tape.
Yeah.
So we were trying to mainstream that great tape and
Format, right.
and catch that magic, right? And so we were recording in a makeshift studio. Grizz was mixing in the garage, and we were recording in the closet. But what happened is, every time Screw laid down a vocal, it got better and better and better. And the last take that he did, he was like toe down first white boy in the Screwed Up Click. And when you hear it, you want to stop everything and just play that over again. Like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
What just happened?
That was a big deal, man.
Is this real? And it didn't. I didn't understand what that meant at the time. It didn't click. It was just like, man, like Screw said my name on a tape. Like, what's up? Like, anybody who's ever listened to Screw, imagine if Screw said your name. That's how I felt. That's how much.
That's the whole catch of the Screw tape, is waiting to hear what names he gonna say. Those were those guys. If he say your name on the tape, man, you have just become that guy.
And so what ended up happening was, like any good song, it gets bootleg first. And so we put that song out in the street with DJ Screw on it. It just blew up from there. Unfortunately, when Elektra went to go edit things, That's not the version they end up using on the actual CD. So the feeling I got was, man, I can't believe Screw did that. And then when I got the final mix back and it wasn't featured on the album, I was a little bit disappointed. But I understood that I had to play policy with the big boys. I had to give a little bit. They gave me a bunch of money.
Tell me what label you on.
So we got signed to Electro Records, which was, Missy Elliott, Metallica, the Eagles, Busta Rhymes, that vein. Elektra fell under the Warner system, so it was a Warner Brothers company, and Sylvia Rome signed us, and the guy that put our CD in her face was Lump. And so Lump did us a solid. He said, "Hey man, it's on Sylvia's desk. She wants to sign you." And I was like, "Okay, this is different. This is a black executive wanting to champion a white guy from the South."
The new Eminem.
It was right there, and we had conflict early on. Bernard had conflict with her early on, I should say. I didn't have conflict with her.
We'll talk about Bernard later.
But she wanted me to do things like make fun of Madonna, and Bernard didn't want to cross those lines, and so through that yin and yang, she gave us a lot of money. And what we did with that money is we came back to Houston and built one of the first all-digital studios. And when Screw passed, that's where a lot of people then came to record. And we ended up doing a lot of great music, from the Screwed Up Click to Swisher House. If you heard rap music come out of Houston from 2000 to 2011, either we mixed it, mastered it, produced it, engineered it. They were over at Toe Downs recording and making it happen. Everything from Little Flip to Squad Up. I mean, just the list is endless. I mean,
did you ever record Lil Wayne there?
Yeah. So while Lil Wayne was doing his mixtapes at U of H, he needed a spot to record, and they came and shot an MTV special there, and we recorded all his mixtapes and everything there, and again, living in that moment, you never think back like, man, this is a movie that's happening, but it's your life. Yeah. It's what you live. At night I was a dope boy, and during the daytime I was a rapper.
Talk to him about the first digital studio. What you mean digital?
So
how important that is. Where did you come from? Because everybody's digital now. That's nothing.
Yeah. So back in the Gap, what we'd have to do is we used to record on DAT tapes or ADAT tapes, and they were literally like larger cassette tapes that you would then have a machine that would only record 8 tracks at a time, and you'd have to have multiple machines, tape machines, in order to record. So that was called analog, running on tape. And at the time, people hated on the new digital sound. It sounded too crisp. It sounded too clean. It didn't have any warmth to it. There was 1,000 reasons why people would try to convince you to stay with the old style. Mm-hmm. And Bernard and I saw something in Pro Tools in the new digital format that would allow us to do different type of mixes, quicker, faster, more efficient. Before, you'd have to go to the studio and you'd literally take a piece of tape and run it across the board and write down what the mix settings were in order to recall that mix in case you wanted to edit it again. Thanks. Well, now with digital, a computer, one button, total recall, it all pops up just like you sound. It sounds just like you had left it. And so that was an advantage to us. Now we have endless tracks instead of just 24 tracks. So imagine if you brought in a beat, let's say from Swift. Swift always had 1,000 sounds in a song. Yes. So each one of the tracks if Swift brought you a track that had 24 sounds in it, you had to use all those tapes just for the mix of the music, and then bounce that down so you could record your vocals on it. But what digital did, it allowed us to have endless amounts of tracks. So we could have 24 tracks in our song. We could have multiple vocals, multiple backups, multiple backing tracks, and you could literally do 100 tracks if you wanted to. Wow. And so with our check from Elektra, we built one of the first all digital studios, and the rest is kind of history, as they say. Everybody came through, and multiple platinum albums came out of that house. Multiple hundreds of pounds of weed were sold out of that house.
We get that in the next chapter, man. But right now, man, we're going to take a small break real quick, man, and we'll be back after these moments with more Toe Down, because, hey, we just getting started, man.
Pro, baby, pulled up, shout it. You asked for it, you got it. Smoke that beat, open verse challenge. Make sure you go to youtube.com, type in GMP LILC. Hit this beat right here, you know what I'm saying? Then go rap the verse. The winner gonna receive an interview with one-on-one with Mike D. So make sure you tag him. Now don't tag him, collab with him, you know what I'm saying? Collab with me. Collab with Pure Talk, no Pure Talk. Collab with Rap Economics, man. Represent, man. R.I.P. Screw, R.I.P. Michael 5000, man. It's on us.